Hi, and welcome to part 4 of Creating an 18th Century Man Shirt series. In previous parts, we finished creating our shirt in Marvelous Designer, and we started refining the color and the cuffs. And by the way, if you didn't watch them, I will leave the link of previous parts for you in the description below. In this part, we will start refining the shirt opening and adding top stitching using Marvelous Designer to create a more realistic, appealing, and classical shirt model. So let's get started. Now we are in Marvelous Designer, and in previous part we have finished creating our shirt, and we start the refining process, and we finished refining the shirt color, and we begin refining the sleeve cuff. And in this part I will start by finishing refining my sleeve cuff. As you can see here in the cuff, there is a sharp transition between the upper and the lower layer of the cuff. I want this transition to be smoother, and to achieve this I will go to the cuff pattern in the 2D window, and I will select the segment here in the upper layer connecting the two layers, and right click offset as internal line, and I go with 0.2 centimeter, and I will leave the extend option on. And due to symmetry, the same thing will happen in the layer below. Now when I when I run the simulation, we will see that the transition become smoother. I will stop my simulation again, and I will select the new internal line I have created, and I will uncheck fold rendering, and also in the layer beneath it I will uncheck the fold rendering for the new internal line. And now when I run the simulation again, the transition become more smoother. Now I have finished refining our sleeves cuff. Now I will start refining the shirt opening. The shirt opening is located in the front part of the shirt, and we want to add thickness and strength to the shirt opening. Therefore, I will go to the front part of the shirt in the 2D window, and I will start creating a new layer that will be sewn beneath the front part pattern. Therefore, I will start by selecting the segment and right click and split, and I will go with 4 centimeter. Now I have created a segment which is a 4 centimeter length. And by the way, to enable the dimension on the pattern, just press Shift Z. Then here I will select the segment and right click, split, and I will go with 3 centimeter. Now I will create a new internal line like this, and press enter. Then I will go to the trace option, and I will begin select all the segment forming the pattern I want to create. Right click and trace as a pattern, and here we are. This is the pattern or the layer that will be sewn beneath the front part to give thickness and strength to the shirt opening. Then I will Ctrl D to create symmetrical pattern with sewing, and then I will start the sewing process. I will go with free sewing, select free sewing from the 3D window, and start sewing this part with this part, and from this point to this point, wanted to be sewn from this point to this point. And I can go to edit pattern, and I can delete these internal line, and I no longer need them, and I can delete these vertex and this vertex, right click, convert to curve point. And in the 3D window, I will select both pattern and right click, flip normals, and right click, superimpose under. Now we have placed the new pattern below the front part of the shirt, and I can now run the simulation. And when I run simulation, here we are, the shirt opening is become more appealing, more strengthened, and got a nice realistic thickness. Now I have finished refining all parts of my shirt, or all the parts I want to refine here in Marvelous Designer. Now we'll start with adding the top stitching. And I will start adding the top stitching to our collar. The first area I will add stitching to is this area in the collar, because I want it to act as if this stitching are the stitching connecting the collar with the other shirt parts. So in the 2D window, I will go to the collar pattern, here it is, and I will select the area I want to add the new stitching. It's here. So I will select this segment and right click and choose offset as internal line. And I will go with 0.2 centimeter, and I will leave the extend button, the extend option on. And here we have created a new internal line from the end to end. I want to add the first top stitching on this segment, which appear here in the 3D window. I can run the simulation just to update our model and then stop our simulation again. And then we go to the edit top stitching menu. I will go with segment top stitching. I will select segment top stitching, then I will go to select our internal line. I will select the top stitching from here, and by the way, to get this menu, just go to this menu and select the top stitching from it. Now I will go with the type. First of all, I need no offset, so I will make 0 offset. And second, I want the type of stitching to be single, and I will give it each stitch will be 0.4 centimeter length, and the distance between each stitching is 0.3, and just activating its thickness. And here we are, our first stitching, and as you can see, it acts as if it is the stitching responsible of connecting the collar with the rest of the shirt parts. Now I want to change the color of the stitching. Let it be something like this, so we can see it while working. Now I want to add a new stitching in this part of the collar, as if it is the stitching connecting the upper and the lower layer of the collar. So I will go to edit pattern and select the segment, right click and offset as internal line, and this time I'll go with 0.4 centimeter and we'll leave the extend option on. Okay, here we have a new internal line. Also from this side, I will select this segment and right click, offset as internal line. I will go with 0.4 and the same entries. Okay, now I have created an internal line in the top and the below layer, and at the top and the layer below it. I want to sew the internal line of the top layer with the internal line of the bottom layer. Therefore, I will select this segment and right click, split, uniformly split into two equal parts. Then I will free sewing this part of the segment with this part of the segment, as if I am sewing the top and the bottom layer together. The same thing I did on this side, I will do on this side. I will select this segment, right click, split, uniformly split. Then I will select free sewing and start sewing this segment part with this segment part. Now I will run the simulation, and I can close it. And as you can see, I start to have a nice stitching line in my color like this. Now I will stop the simulation and start adding our stitching. Go to top stitching menu and I will go with the segment stitching. So I will add stitching to the segment and this segment, and add stitching to this segment and this segment. And as you can see, now we have our new stitching. Let me just update my model and stop my simulation. Now adding the top stitching to the collar is finished. We'll now start adding the top stitching to the epaulets. I need stitching on the epaulets to act as if it is the stitching connecting the epaulet with the rest part of the shirt. So I will go to the epaulet pattern in the 2D window. Here it is, and I will start selecting the outer segment of the epaulet like this. Then right click, offset as internal line, and I will go with 0.3, and I will leave the extend option on. Here we are, the new internal line. I will just update my model by running simulation, stop it. Then I will go to the top stitching menu and I will use 3 top stitching this time. So I will start from here and it will end at this point. And here it is, our stitching of the epaulet. Great. Now I will start adding stitching to my collar, my cuffs. I will start adding top stitching to the sleeves cuff. And in the sleeve cuff, I want to add stitching in this area to act as if it is the stitching connecting the sleeves with the sleeves cuff, and also in this area to act as if it is the stitching connecting the upper and the lower layer of the cuff. Therefore, I will go to the cuff pattern in the 2D window, and this area is this area here. So I will select this segment, right click, offset as internal line, and I will go with 0.5 centimeter. Okay, and the same thing will happen for the layer below, but I don't need to add stitching in the lower layer because it is hidden from me here. So I will select this segment. I will go to the top stitching menu and I will select segment stitch top stitching, and I will select the new internal line. Then I will just run the simulation to update my model, and here we are. We have the stitching connecting the sleeves cuff with the sleeves. Now I want to add stitching to this area, so I will select this, I will go to edit pattern and I will select this segment, right click and offset as internal line, and I will go with 0.4. okay, and the same thing in the opposite side, offset as internal line 0.4. Okay, and now I will add stitching to, I will go with segment top stitching, and I will start adding stitching to our new internal line. Now I will just run the simulation to update my model, and here we have it. Okay, looking good. And the same thing happened in the opposite cuff due to symmetrical pattern with sewing we used before. Now we want to add the top stitching for the shirt opening. So I will go to the pattern of the front part of our shirt, and I will select the segment and add a vertex, choose split, right click split, and I will go with 0.2 centimeter. I have added a new vertex 0.2 centimeter here, and I will choose this segment and split, and I will go with 0.35 centimeter. Now I will create an internal line that will act as, which will hold the new top stitching I will add to our shirt opening, and enter, press enter. And the same thing I did on the upper layer, I will do it on the lower layer. I will select this segment, right click, split. I will go with 0.2 centimeter. I created a 0.2 centimeter segment, and this segment, right click, split, 0.35 centimeter. And now I will start creating the same internal line here from this point down until this point, then close it like this and enter. Now we have created the same internal line in the upper and the lower part of the shirt opening. I will go to free sewing. I will select it from the 3D window, and I will start sewing the two new internal lines. From here to here will be sewn from here to here. Now I will run my simulation, and as you can see, I begin to have a nice stitching line in the shirt opening. Now I will go to the top stitching menu. I will go with free top stitching, and I will start adding the top stitching to the shirt opening, like just complete the whole internal line. Here we are, looking good. Now the last thing I will do is adding a top stitching to the bottom of the front and the back part of the shirt. So I will go to the bottom of the front part, and I will select this segment and this segment. Right click, split, sorry, not split, and right click, offset as internal line. I will go with 0.3 centimeter, and I will uncheck the extend option. And here we have created a new internal line which will carry the top stitching, and just close it here. Press enter, and now I will start adding my top stitching using free top stitching from here to here, and this whole segment like this. Now we have created a stitching at the bottom of the front part of the shirt. The same process I will do on the back part of the shirt. I will select this segment and this segment, right click and offset as internal line 0.3. okay, and I will close it like this, create internal line, connect this to this and press enter. Then with free top stitching I will start adding my stitching. Okay, first one, then this whole segment. Great. And here we are with the stitching of the front and the back part of the shirt. We still have only one stitching left, the stitching up here in the epaulet of the shirt. So I will go to the epaulet pattern here, and I want to add a stitching between the epaulet and the neck gusset. So I will begin by adding an internal line. I will go with an internal line like this, like this, like this. Press enter. A new internal line is created, and I will start adding top stitching using free top stitching. And here we are. We have creating our last top stitching. I can refine this top stitching just by going to smooth curve and try smoothing this curve like this, and you'll see what will happen. No, I will go to edit pattern and I will move this vertex to the back, and I will go to edit top stitching, select this top stitching, and I will add a curve to it, and the length is 1 centimeter. I think I like this, but I can move this vertex a little back like this. Yeah, I like this one. Okay, and now we have created the top stitching for all parts of our shirt. I can run the simulation for the last time to update my model and stop the simulation, and now we have all the top stitching added to our shirt. The upcoming parts will start the retopology of our model to prepare our low poly model to be expert to 3D aspects. Hope you have enjoyed our video. And if you like our video, please like and subscribe to our channel, and see you later.